Okay, we're rolling now.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Does that mean I have to
man.
watch my fucking mouth?
No, you don't have to watch anything. This is on the internet. There's no ratings involved. Welcome back to The Hell With This with Mark and Chad, but Chad finally is gone.
Thank God, right?
He's out of the country, I think.
Couldn't give him enough dollars. Just like, dude, if I give you $1, will you go away? He's like, no. How about $2? No.
What
$3?
about a trip to London? Okay.
Maybe.
He thought about it, considered it for a while, and he took me up on it. So with me today is Steve Phelan.
Yes.
Yay.
Hello, Internet world.
You are an actor.
Yeah.
That by trade.
I also do some writing and whatnot, voiceover stuff.
You've directed, yeah, all kinds of stuff. You're like a... What the fuck is that?
That was what we call fucking amateur hour. Don't worry, that's off now.
All right, I should turn mine off because I don't want to be on the opposite end of that.
Nice, nice.
Well, tell everybody about yourself. Let's start at the beginning. Tell me about that one time you were born.
That one time I was born back in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, May 15th, 1981. That's right, my birthday's coming up, folks. You better send me some shit. No.
Amazon gift cards are always good.
It was kind of funny because they are. They're pretty rad. I was born and raised in Iowa, and then a buddy of mine, when I was in high school, way fast forward, was like, actually no, this is right after I had graduated. He found out that I was working with an in-house production company to do like ads for a mattress company, and he was like, "Oh wait, you've got like access to a camcorder. You know how to edit stuff like that. I've got this great idea." So he totally like dragged me into this making of this Star Wars fan film.
Oh, that's the formula.
Yeah,
I love the formula.
yeah. Well, thank you. It's amazing how looking back on it now, the things we did. I
love the shot-for-shot remake of the training fight from The Matrix, but with lightsabers.
Oh yeah,
at the local gym.
At a local gym, right? Zoom out and there's this lady running on a treadmill right behind Justin Whitlock. Yeah.
You know what was amazing to me though?
What?
The number of reflections of lightsabers that had to be rotoscoped in
that
scene.
was Dorkman Scott and Ryan Weaver.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal. It wasn't my world. I tend to be like pulled into these things, and Chris is one of those people, Chris Hannell, who, co-created that. He's one of those people who's just, he has this way of luring you into things, and you just kind of love the guy. And yeah, I miss you, Chris. It's been a long time.
He's on Twitter.
Yeah,
Do you say hi every once in a while?
I suppose I could, but it's kind of different.
I think he's just at Chris.
Whatever happened to the days when you just call someone and say, "Hey, how are you?" I do that with maybe 2 people in my life, and some people I even like end up phone tagging all the time. Like I'm on a.
I have to play phone tag with my own parents because we're they're 3 hours behind or whatever it is.
2, right?
I guess it's 2.
Chicago?
Yeah, they're Chicago.
Yeah.
When I get out of work, it's already 10:30 for them. They're in bed. But yeah, I mean, even my parents, it's hard to get on the phone with. I guess I could right now. Let's stop recording. I'm gonna call my mom.
Let's call our moms. Anyway, I really have to. It was funny. I was thinking about the formula the other day, and I'm like, God, in many ways, like Chris actually helped with my sanity in many ways. He doesn't really know it, but like, I mean, I was going through a lot of heavy stuff at the time, and he just kind of dragged me into making this thing. He's like, "Come on, Steve, let's make this. We're gonna shoot this, and blah blah blah. I got this." And
you think that's
sort
of
I don't want to do it, but okay, fine.
That like occupied your mind, so it got you out of the bad stuff?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and he was way into like podcasting and things like that, in the early days, because he was doing this thing called digital Llama Radio
before any asshole with a microphone could make a podcast.
Exactly. And I'm like, I had no idea what was going on. I'm just like, sure, I'll go in there. I guess like I would say a few things here and there. Like,
who are we talking to?
They called me like the quiet llama because I would just say 1 or 2 things during the episode.
Oh, you're gonna have to be the very loud, talkative llama now, because I don't have anything.
You don't have anything to say.
Contribute,
I just kind of look at Mark Heiliger and was like, "So, what do you think, Mark?" Fine.
Yeah,
you like the movie?
Easy.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And that's all you got? Sure. You want to talk about editing?
This week?
Yeah, they cut the movie. Good.
I thought it was sloppy. And it probably took him way too long to come up with this. That's my opinion.
But no, from there, actually, I think Chris moved with Josh Wasta. I don't know if they moved at the same time or just really close in time, but they moved out here. I moved later. At that point, they were rooming with Chad Peter. I had been staying with my cousins for a little bit, but my cousins were also kind of newlyweds, and they're like, all right, I'm glad you're here, so can you go find another place? And I was like, sure. So I moved into, God, it must have been like a 2-bedroom apartment with Chad, Chris, Josh, Chris's girlfriend. Did Chris have a girlfriend then? I don't remember. Josh had a girlfriend, definitely. Basically, it was like 6 people to a 2-bedroom place.
The Bachelor.
Yes. And over time, I kind of domesticated the place.
You gave him some civilization.
I'm serious. Like, the first day I moved in, I'm like, okay. I go into the kitchen, and there's like a pool of oil around one of the burners. I literally spent like 2 hours in the kitchen just cleaning it for everyone. Be like,
the sink
okay,
is just
now
full of overgrowing mold.
Yeah, it's just kind of gross. But no, it was definitely an interesting time. But that's kind of how Chad and I forged our friendship. So
you were living with him when I came out here.
Yeah,
like almost 11 years ago now.
Yep.
In 2005 or something. Yeah, September 2005. However many years ago that is now.
Yeah.
That's almost 12 years ago.
By that point, I think we were down to like 3 people in a 2-bedroom.
Yeah,
so
Tyler, Chad. I think that was it at the time.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, you missed. Yeah, okay.
was that the good time when it was only
That was a good time. 3 dudes in a place. It was very nice.
Somebody was sleeping on the couch because it was a 2-bedroom.
That was me.
That was you.
Because I had bought a couch with a prior girlfriend of mine. I ended up paying her for the rest of it when we broke up. And I was just like, all right, fair. Yeah, it was like...
Very measured, It's good of you.
It was one of those things where it's like, okay, now we divide this 2-bedroom between 3 people. It was. And one of those
she said no and got out the chainsaw.
Oh no! Like
I'm
this is
taking
after
my half.
That would have been funny. Like, I mean, there was a love seat, but that would have been very uncomfortable. But no, I mean, there was definitely a time where we were all like, I think, inflatable air bedding it for a while too. But slowly but surely, everyone got their own bed. That couch, thankfully, was a fold out. So
at least it was not something you had to like compress your spine to fit on.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the guys were actually really, really good about things. At first, I was just like, hey, look, I'll pay the same amount of rent because I realize it's kind of like, say, if I need to go to bed and you guys want to watch something, it's kind of sucky for you to have to be like, oh, well, I guess I'm going into my room now. So it's just like, the only thing I think everyone fought about was air conditioning. I tended to keep it like ice cold. And these are like these 2 tall, skinny... Well, at that time, Tyler Nelson was actually very burly. But they're like tall, skinny guys from Colorado. And here I am, just kind of a short, not entirely stout Midwesterner, And like, my blood hadn't quite thinned yet. And so like, I remember Chad Peter would come walking into the apartment. All of a sudden you just hear this, oh, Jesus. I'm like, what? It's fucking cold in here.
It's 52 degrees
and
Fahrenheit.
I was like, look, it's one of 2 ways, man. Either you put more clothes on or I take more off. And I'm just saying, I think I know what you want, Like, that's... So, yeah, those are the good old days. Then, of course, my lovely wife, before she was my wife, I got to know her, moved back to the Midwest to be with her while she finished her doctorate. Came back out here. After she got married, we got married, and she got her doctorate.
To
who? I was hedging my bets, and I lost. No, we got married, and then we moved back out here, and I went back to school, got my BFA in acting for film, and been slogging ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have I seen you in anything?
Well, aside from your own home movies, Mark Heiliger.
Right.
No.
Don't tell people about those. Those are private. Those are just for you and me.
I've done a lot of like investigation discovery TV shows, The Usual Suspects, Murder Book, things of that nature.
They used to have a lot of those in ID investigation discovery shows on Netflix, but they don't anymore. I would watch the shit out of those
Nice.
But I don't have cable.
Oh.
Like, those are my favorite kind of reality shows.
You know what's really funny? My wife, when we go on vacation, like, Claire's thing is Cold Case. Not Cold Case. Sorry, Forensic Files. Oh, okay. She will turn on that
Don't
that
they have
hotel.
like 200 episodes of that on Netflix from like the mid 90s?
I don't know, man.
They have like 30 seasons.
It's just the most. It's a weird, like, something about the production value of it makes me just feel like, ooh. Ew. Like, yeah.
It's very like, video-y.
It's very video-y and very eerie, and, like, it makes me feel uncomfortable watching it. And
lots
you've
of
got the voice of the man who's telling you about all the gruesome things that these people are doing. And it's just like, whoa, okay. Like,
I think
the last thing I want to
do really did, they pushed the gory aspect of it.
Yes, you're right.
Not to like push emotional buttons necessarily, but just because they were being very frank with the facts.
Yeah,
like, we found a half a gallon of semen in this bedroom, etc., etc.
No, it's more like, we found a half a gallon of semen in this bedroom. You know, like that voice that they got. I forget his name.
If only we had Robert Stack.
Yeah. If you or anyone you know is aware of the whereabouts of this person, contact us. I love that show. It's crazy. But no, like, you're right. I had no idea because I had never seen any of the early Forensic Files until out of nowhere, my Claire started watching them at home. And then all of a sudden, like, at breakfast, I'm like pouring some coffee, and then there's like 3 or 4 actual like dead body shots. And I'm like,
with a tiny little blur filter over him.
Yeah, just a tiny little, but like there's viscera and everything all over the place.
Right,
and it's
the
just
whole
like,
room
what
is
the
with
heck?
blood.
When did Forensic Files do? Who signed off on this? Like, what?
What channel was that on? Was that like TLC or A&E or something?
I don't know. I try to stay away from it, but my wife has this morbid curiosity with it, and so it's one of those eerie things that you do, I guess, instead of telling ghost stories when we go on vacation these days. But yeah. Other than that, I was in a viral video for Afro Man. He was helping out with the promotion of weed apps, which was really basically just an app that shows you where your local weed what are they called? Dispensaries are at. Yeah, thank you. Words. And so he did a remix of Because I Got High, which was, I think, in 2000. That was his big claim to fame. Mm-hmm. And so they did a remix where he's talking about all the benefits of marijuana. And so here I am, I get hired on to do, to be one of these characters in it. And next thing I know, the video comes out on the internet and it just blows up, like 1 million views within like 2 or 3 days. And I was just like, whoa, little did I know I was like heavily featured in it.
You played a cop, right?
Oh, no. In that one, I played all sorts of different little characters.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else.
I played a cop. I played a cop in Murder Book.
Okay.
I played a detective, actually. Detective Lane Yeomans. It was the actual detective. And I actually got to email with him after the fact. When they were talking when they were doing the story, everything, they wouldn't let us talk. But then after the fact, I was able to talk to the producers and get his email. And that was a pretty cool situation.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's like a podcast in itself.
I guess so, yeah.
From the point of view of one of the recreation actors from Forensic Files.
Well, that's one of the things. It's like, especially as an actor, you go in onto a stage and you're working on some stuff, and then you find yourself like kind of messing around and joking around. Then you say to yourself, oh, wait a second, this is a recreation. Although they do change things around quite a bit. It's like, this deals with real people who had real struggles, and you're like, oh, I should probably keep it down a bit, like not to not have fun at work, but to have a little bit more reverence every once in a while.
Don't be playing with the fake dead body parts on set.
Right.
Don't be doing the dancing food routine from Buster Keaton with severed fingers, say.
Precisely.
On the crime scene set.
Which I got caught doing about 500 times. No. But other than that, I've kind of jumped over into the voicing world. Working on a project right now that, thanks to a contract I can't tell you about. But the one thing I can tell you about is I do have an audiobook out there for a gentleman, great writer called named John L. Monk. His first book that I believe he actually published, not the first book he wrote, was called Kick, the Jenkins Cycle Book 1. And I fell in love with this book. It won the Indie Brag Award after the fact, but it was really funny because I was doing an internship and I read this book, and it was like Pulp Fiction meets Quantum Leap. And I just couldn't put it down. And at one point I was doing some voice reel demo stuff, and I decided to actually do an excerpt from his book. So because he was an indie author early on, like he had his email address and everything on the back of his book, or in the back page of the file. And so it was so funny because here I am just like, hey John, I really loved your book, blah blah blah. By the way, here's what your book would sound like if it were an audiobook. And he's like, oh, that's great. I don't think I'll ever run that route, but thanks. I really appreciate that. So right now, fast forward, I think almost a year maybe. He contacts me and says, audition for it. So I did, and he gave me the position of narrating that book. And
just because you wrote him out of the blue.
Yeah, thankfully. And he's got 2 other books in the series that I'm currently trying to slowly but surely get through. So those will be out hopefully before the end of the year.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell right now.
A 17-minute nutshell.
Aw, it's one really long, boring nutshell. Huh?
Compared to your 30-odd years, I guess that is sort of a very small amount of time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you skipped your first 16 years.
I mean, well, we could go into my neuroses if you want, but
maybe
let's
later.
Get to the.
We'll do like an addendum to the podcast later, maybe.
Sounds good.
Do some live therapy sessions.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So normally, when we have a guest, and this hasn't happened often, but when we have a guest, we tend to let them pick their own movies. But you kind of left it up to me this time,
which ended up being a boon because it was like a movie that showed up in my brain right before I even talked to you.
Awesome. Perfect.
I was just like, what?
I chose Last Action Hero.
Yep.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1994, I want to say.
I think so.
I don't know if you're not clear on this. We do not do research beforehand on this show.
Oh, so that's part of the boon?
I mean, we just don't care that much.
You're just like, the hell with it.
Yeah. See? We just kind of go with it.
I got it. Yeah.
That's an illustration of our whole attitude about everything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, let's just go.
Yeah, I think I like to call Last Action Hero How Austin O'Brien Stole My Destiny. Because I was a huge, huge Arnold fan growing up. I think, honestly, Terminator 2 might be the movie that really got me into paying attention to film and really becoming a fan of actors or anyone like that. So Arnold Schwarzenegger would probably be my 93, not bad.
93, okay. And T2 was 91?
91. Absolutely.
You know that.
Yeah, but yeah. And so here I am watching this movie about this kid who gets sucked into a Schwarzenegger movie. That's basically what it is. And oh my God, I'm like watching him going, that should be me up there.
Fucking Austin O'Brien. I brought up IMDb because I want to see what he's been up to lately.
Right.
We can talk about this more later. That doesn't even look like him.
Oh, no, I see it.
Wow.
I definitely see it.
2015, 2013. He's had like one project every few years here. 2003 to 2007 was a big break. Touched by an Angel, back when he was still a kid. I think maybe he had like one of those awkward adolescences, and then he had to really grow up before he did more.
It's kind of funny because, like, I mean, the movie prior, Terminator 2, like, Arnold's like with another like adolescent kid who's like on the move, and Edward Furlong, I think, he had a few things, and then there was some issues in there, and I mean, I think he still does some acting now and then. Yeah, but I remember I thought he was the coolest thing. Like, I tried to emulate his haircut and everything. And
Eddie Furlong was in like The Crow 5, which was an awful movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's still active. He still is out there, kind of like Macaulay Culkin. He doesn't do big movies much anymore, but he's still around.
Yeah.
And again, we can talk about this more after the break and we watch the movie, but Last Action Hero has a crazy backstory that, of course, I can't remember all the details of right now.
Okay.
It basically started, I think, as a parody of Schwarzenegger movies starring Schwarzenegger. And then the studio got involved and they threw in this kid character and a fucking magic ticket and yada and blah, 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 blah.
You see that?
Everything that makes the movie ridiculous came from Too Many Cooks kind of a problem.
Too many cooks. Nice. Yeah, I had no idea much about the production aspect of it. Just as a kid, I remember, the first R-rated movie probably was the original Terminator for me. And then Terminator 2 came out, blew my socks off. And then all of a sudden I hear this Last Action Hero's coming out. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then I'm reading up about it, probably in Entertainment Weekly or Starlog or something like that. And they're just like, it's going to be an action fantasy film. And I'm just like, back then I was like,
with elves?
I don't know. What do you mean? It's like, there's a magic ticket. And you're like, what? I don't know. It's PG-13. I'm like, really? This is going to be stupid.
Fuck this.
Exactly. Like back then.
I'm 12 years old. I need a hard R.
Right. Precisely. No, but it was one of those things where when it came out, I remember seeing the reviews for it were 2.5 maybe stars and whatnot. And I was just like, no. There's a part of me that's just I was such a diehard, pardon the pun, John McTiernan, Schwarzenegger fan that anyone who said anything bad was like, no, it's gonna be awesome. They don't know what they're talking about. And when I originally saw it, I was like, oh, I was really a little. I wanted to like it, but deep in my heart, I knew it. I didn't quite like it. Mm-hmm. However, I feel like a lot of it had to do with the humor. Back then, you wanted your hardcore, action-packed Arnold film. You want
stuff.
Badassery. Yeah. Nowadays, action comedy is the shit. It's the best. But back then, I just think that we weren't quite ready for it.
There were other action comedies, 48 Hours.
Right.
I'm having a brain fart, but
a lot of them were darker, or they had they were action films with a hint of humor. But this was being touted as an action comedy. I mean, just look at the
or even
the
a comedy
poster.
Action movie.
There you go.
It was a comedy set in an action movie world.
Yeah.
Lots of explosions and gunfights and things like that. But it was all, it was just a broad comedy.
But honestly, from remembering it, a part of me is really excited to check it out again, because I feel like it might actually have held up better than I expected.
Okay, well, that's part of the fun, too, is watching something you haven't seen in such a long time and going am I going to be surprised by this movie?
Yeah.
And, I really like this movie. My rating on IMDb is 9 out of 10. And, I guess I'm hoping I don't watch it now and go, it's just mediocre.
Time to change my stars.
Yeah, I hate changing my ratings. I want to be secure in the fact that whatever I rated a movie when I was 17, I'm still right about it. It's still a good movie.
Yeah.
I was right when I was 17.
I knew what I was talking about. Don't question me.
Yeah.
I know the zeitgeist and its future.
Well, let's watch the movie then and see how we feel after.
Huzzah!
A great classic comes to the screen.
Take thy hand, fair prince.
Who said I'm fair? To be or not to be? Not to be.
Columbia Pictures is proud to present the screen's greatest action hero, Jack Slater.
Slater! Don't even think it, Slater, you hear me?
This is the Lieutenant Governor.
Slater, here's what I...
The governor gets here, call me.
And Danny Madigan is his biggest fan.
Jack Slater 4.
But tonight, a magic ticket...
It's a passport to another world.
...will get Danny closer to the action than anyone ever dreamed.
Holy cow! Hold me!
Who the hell are you?
Don't shoot me! I'm Danny Madigan, I'm a kid!
And you're going with him.
Who is this twerp? And where is that smile on his face?
I don't even know this kid.
To a world that's bigger than life
This ticket is magic, and it really works.
and better than real.
You really believe that you're inside a movie, don't you?
Yes! The bad guys are in there. I've seen it. On screen.
Could I speak to the drug dealer of the house, please?
Have a nice day.
Have him killed.
This summer, it's head-on thrills.
I have killed people smarter and younger than you.
Head-first excitement.
I hate when it happens.
He's got the ticket!
Now I possess power. Real power.
He's going over to my world!
In this world, the bad guys can win.
The door must still be open, come on!
If I go, how do I get back?
And it's coming at you from both sides of the screen.
Where am I now?
This isn't the movies anymore, Jack. Please be careful. Things were different here.
Damn it, that hurt.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Jack Slater.
This hero stuff has its limits.
And Jack Slater is
Everybody down! Now!
the last action hero. The big ticket for '93.
I'll be back. Ha! You did not gonna say that, did you?
That's what you always say.
I do?
So, immediate impressions after the movie.
It does. It actually
It holds up?
much better than I thought. And
It's still a good time.
what's funny?
Like, there's a lot of technical problems. You saw a lot of continuity things, I
oh
think.
yeah, I did.
So, in that way, from a certain point of view, it feels kind of cheap or whatever.
But I mean, that's
That didn't affect my experience of the movie.
No.
I think nowadays, when they shoot everything on video, if things are cheap, they really feel cheap.
yeah.
But they're obviously still on film back then, so it's still, the DP made everything feel cinematic, even if the props were not made really great or the set dressing was
That's
like
right. You
really
had an
lazy.
issue with the axe
Yeah,
that Tom Noonan was wielding, right?
The Ripper, the Jack Slater villain in this movie, has like his signature weapon is an axe, which comes in pieces, and he has to assemble it like it's a sniper rifle. He carried in a briefcase somewhere. And there are a couple shots in the beginning when he's holding this axe up to a little kid's head or whatever, his neck area. You can totally tell this is like a whittled down piece of plastic that's been painted with shiny silver to make it look.
axe. Let's build something together.
But yeah, there were a few things like that. But overall, and we can get into the logical problems of the story momentarily.
Right.
But overall, I think this is still an awesome fucking movie.
Yeah.
This is so much fun, and I'm so glad you're here to watch it with me instead of Chad.
Oh, really?
No, not instead of Chad.
Aw,
I wish we had him
We
too.
miss you, Chad. I miss you, Chad. I haven't seen him in ages, so
Yeah.
this is kind of weird.
This will be a treat for him. I'm going to send him the files. He'll edit it on the plane, so he'll listen to this whole thing.
Great. What was I gonna say though? One of the things that was you were talking about the logistical issues, but I mean I think it was it Alfred Hitchcock who used to talk about the
MacGuffin?
No the refrigerator test. Like
No.
if,
if anybody gets up to
if anyone as long as people don't really make or have any questions until later that night when they're looking in their fridge going, hey, wait a minute. Like then you're golden. And so in many cases there are a lot of things that people wouldn't necessarily pick up on this movie.
And
like,
we have seen this before many times.
absolutely.
And of course we're jotting down notes while we watch it. So, some things are occurring to us.
Yeah.
But still.
But honestly, it's kind of funny because it's PG-13, it feels like a Shane Black fan film almost. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Written by Shane Black.
But oh my god, it's like it's so well shot. It's so beautiful. Like I looking back at this, I'm like, God, I don't remember seeing a movie that looked quite like this nowadays. No one makes a movie like this.
There are some scenes that felt really cartoony, especially like the mafia rooftop scene.
Yeah.
the funeral, where everything's either bright red or bright blue of the sky, or the black of the funeral goers, what they're wearing. It felt very comic strippy almost. Everything was in this like 3-tone.
Right, but at the same time, it wasn't like, you know, how every process that films go through today with the like orange and blue. Mm-hmm. It's just like almost. I mean, so many movies look the same. It's like this one wasn't afraid to just exaggerate certain colors, but still keep a natural patina. You know, in that sense.
The stuff that looked really good is like the LAPD headquarters, which essentially looks like a bank lobby that's bigger than any bank lobby you've ever seen before.
Right.
We got like tile floors, glass doors, you know, brushed metal molding and things like that. Everybody has glass doors on their office. It looks like it's from the friggin' future.
Yeah.
It like looks great.
Demolition
it looks awesome.
Man almost.
It looks like the peak of 90s style, basically.
Yeah. Good call. And it's so funny because, like, you know, when they the sequence where they end up crashing into that fashion show.
Yeah.
It's so funny because there's that one like corset, that like metal motorcycle corset.
It has side view mirrors attached to it.
When I originally saw the movie, I was like, "Oh my god, that's the same corset from George Michael's music video Too Funky." And like,
I have never seen that.
Oh, dude, it's in there.
It's in there?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
You can't miss it. As a kid, and now I'm like looking back, realizing, wow, I was really watching MTV at a pretty young age. It made me feel things. But no, like
George Michael.
Oh yes. Boy, what a loss, huh?
Mostly just respect.
Yes.
That's what you felt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was always good at getting well-casted, lovely ladies in his music videos.
Freedom 90. That's one of the classic videos.
Right?
Wasn't that always in like the top 10 videos of all time?
I think so.
Of VH1? Yeah.
And when you hear that like percussive open, like there's no denying it.
It's
just like
that's his masterpiece.
We're getting funky.
Anywho.
Jinx!
This we're gonna go into something?
I wasn't actually.
Oh, well, I just wanted to mention this was a budget of $85 million back in 1993 or 1992 when it was actually produced. Because these things take some time.
Yeah.
And it only grossed, well, just under $50 million in the United States. So I'm sure overseas it made a bunch more money, and over time it sold some DVDs, even though I think the only form it exists on DVD is this crappy no features thing I have now. Yeah, not
Did
even
they ever
trailer.
do a Blu-ray of this?
I don't think they have.
Wow.
I don't think.
Because I mean, it's funny. Like I was talking about how beautiful the movie looks. I can only imagine how it would look if they actually cleaned it up. I mean, we were watching a pretty high contrast. There it is.
Okay, it does exist on Blu-ray.
Totally dropped that.
That's good, but still, it looks like no features.
Because I mean, the blacks are like just crushed when we were watching the DVD.
Some of that could be my TV here.
Oh, okay.
It's not the best.
Oh, that's fine. The fact of the matter is, everything looks awesome.
I'd rather have it look dark than overly bright.
Gotcha.
And look like shitty in that way.
I'd
rather lose a little detail that way.
Respect?
Yeah.
Respect. It's your house.
You do you.
No, you do you, Mark. But honestly, like, I mean, aside from everything else, about the only thing that really bothered me about the film, moving through it, and that still bothers me today, is Austin O'Brien. And I honestly,
the low point of the movie.
I can't. I was wondering. I was like, is it just me because I was like living vicariously through this kid, going, I could do this. I'm cooler than this kid. I wish I was with Arnold Schwarzenegger through this whole adventure. Don't need him there. But yeah, like there, like you heard me. Like I was like literally like wincing at the cutaways when he's watching Jack Slater 4 for the first time.
Yeah, smirking and shaking his head.
You're gonna pay. Oh, you're gonna pay. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like just a little emote and then let him go.
And of course, it's not all Austin O'Brien's fault.
No, of course
Somebody
not.
wrote those words down on a paper, and then they gave that paper to him, and they said, memorize this, because you have to say this in front of a camera. So many people made sure he did that, and any one of them could have said, this is dumb.
Right?
Let's not do this.
Right?
in the editing room, but it's a PG-13 movie. They were trying to get kids in, and I think they wanted to have that kind of like, yeah, we got to empower this kid.
I warmed up to him. Yeah, I warmed up to him as the movie went on.
He stops doing stupid shit as the movie moves on.
But yeah, I mean, in essence, I also have to recognize that's kind of the character. Like, he's supposed to be this spazzy kid with no friends.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of understand how that would happen.
Yeah.
A part of me feels like I don't... Also, the genetic thing with Mercedes Ruehl and Austin O'Brien, I'm like...
Yeah, the redhead kid.
Yeah.
Maybe she married an Irishman.
Could be. I mean, an Irish cop for that matter. But
right.
The cops... Okay, we could talk about that. That's another thing that was really kind of funny is...
the contrast of like the real world cops versus the movie cops.
But even like in the real world, the fact that poor Austin O'Brien, he's sneaking out to go see the movie, but right as he's about to leave, someone literally pushes him back into his apartment
holds him up with a knife
to steal things from them, and there's nothing in the apartment. He's like, you guys are so poor, you got nothing but a crappy TV I can only get $20 for, blah blah blah. And then, of course, he leaves. Obviously, Austin O'Brien's character, Danny, right? Danny.
Yeah, Danny. He calls the cops.
He was able to call the cops. He goes to the cops. And the cop there at the station recognized this is like close to, if not after midnight already.
Yeah.
And the cop's just like, all right, well, go ahead home. It's like, never mind the fact that, your home was just, you were in a sense, like attacked, violated in your home. Go home.
Yeah,
like,
it was a home invasion, technically.
Yeah,
it was a home invasion.
It's totally flat out home invasion. And the cop's just like, yeah, just go home. We're not going to escort you. I don't really care. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah, I don't remember what he said exactly, but the gist was kind of like, I guess we'll look for him, but
yeah, but
what do you expect us to really do?
Exactly. Which I guess works for the meta real world.
Well, yeah, as we later learn from the villain, this is a world where the bad guys can win.
Yes.
Because, in part, because the cops are such lazy bastards and overworked or underpaid or anything.
Right.
A combination of all that
Charles
stuff.
Dance, man, he just chews the scenery. He is so good.
I just wanted to point out this piece of trivia. Charles Dance later said he found out the part was turned down by Alan Rickman because it wasn't enough money. So it was going to be an Alan Rickman role. That's why I suspected during the movie maybe he was like doing it. He was sort of aping Alan Rickman from Die Hard. And he goes to set wearing a T-shirt that says, "I'm cheaper than Alan Rickman." So am I, dude. You're in good company. So this was a major flop at the time, critically and financially.
I mean, if I remember correctly, it wasn't like a major flop critically. It just wasn't. I mean, if I remember, like Schwarzenegger movies were like usually 4-star movies, and I think particularly like where else could you go after doing Terminator 2?
Like here, Metacritic, which combines everybody's reviews from the time.
Yeah.
44 out of 100.
How did that happen? Wow.
I told you, it was critically panned. It was just not seen as very good.
Was I right about Ebert? Did he give it 2.5? Is he in here?
Chicago. Sometimes. Tribune. Cisco liked it. That sounds like a 3-star. I am not seeing.
Because in Iowa, when we got the weekend section, what is that, like some sort of southern thing? No, we all had kind of flat dialects in Cedar Rapids. No, but like we would get the weekend section, and that was always my big thing every Friday, or I think it was Thursday. 2.5. I was right.
2.5. Yeah.
I was always like looking to see what he was rating movies and whether or not that was worth going to see him, and so when I saw that after seeing Terminator 2, then this movie comes out, I was like, no, this can't be true, And
must be better.
Even seeing the movie, I was just like, oh, I think I was lying to myself about how much I liked it at the time, but quite honestly, I like it better now than I did because there's so much more I appreciate.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more. I'm getting the jokes easier. Like it's all happening for me now.
Yep.
I wanted to mention, well, if you don't know already, the whole thing circles around this magic movie ticket.
Right.
So that's the start of our ridiculousness of the story.
Yep.
It's a magic movie ticket. Of course, it's gold because it's got to look fancy.
And it's got electricity that flows through it.
Yeah.
Houdini electricity.
This projectionist at the old theater Danny goes to, he says he got it from Houdini, who says he got it from a Tibetan magician.
Or Indian or something.
Yeah, like has come down a line of other magicians. And I'm kind of going, okay, Houdini was around in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Movies existed, definitely.
I think, yeah.
But could movies have existed for long enough to pass through the succession of wizards?
That's a good question.
To make it to New York City?
I mean, when was... Okay, so arguably the Lumiere brothers. We had Edward Muybridge and Edison, who basically stole from Muybridge.
Fucker.
Yeah, right? Wow. I can't imagine. I mean, what it must have been like... It's no wonder that he's such a dick. I'm sorry, I can't deal.
We don't have to actually like dig into the history of all this right now. It strains already. If we're talking about a magic movie ticket and going with that, it strains credibility that he would have gotten it from Houdini, because Houdini himself was a skeptic and tried to debunk psychics and shit all the time.
Yes. He
was clearly just an illusionist. He never told anybody it was real. That was his whole MO. So that he comes up with an actually magic movie ticket. They couldn't have had some made-up magician for that? I don't know. It's sort of shitting on Houdini.
But also the idea that, like, the I don't know, the international aspect of it is what gets me, too. Because it would seem like...
It's in English. The movie ticket is in English.
Right.
But it came from Tibet, then to India, and then to America.
Right.
But it is made in English. Maybe it's magic that it changes, anybody who wants to read it can read it.
It's magic, yeah. It's
you can paint everything.
No one talks about the
though.
light swords in Star Wars that would just give you cancer, if you touched them. But, like, this is true. It's
you
just
point
like,
it the wrong direction, oops.
It's like, hey, dude, magic ticket, enough said, leave it be.
Right. You're either going to be satisfied with that or not.
Right. And if you're not subscribing to Magic Ticket, then you're watching the wrong fucking film. So maybe we should shut up about that.
Yeah, okay.
But there are other things.
We should talk more about Charles Dance.
Yeah?
Like his character. I want to know more about his character, where he came from, how he rose through the ranks of henchmen and became a lackey, in his own words.
Right.
And I want to know why he's missing an eye. I want to know where he gets his glass eyes.
Yeah.
All that shit. I want to know what his tattoos mean. You can only see the edge of some neck tattoos underneath his pristine white suit, and it's just enough of this like violent edge, sort of like he's put up this clean front, but really he's a fucking badass underneath.
Yeah.
And he's barely hiding it.
Yeah.
It's just this. It's a really good character. I love the character. Alan Rickman, I think, would have been a worse choice.
I think you're right.
Seeing this result, I'm totally happy with Charles Dance.
Charles Dance knocks it out of the park entirely. One of the things that I was thinking about, particularly because of my disdain for Danny Madigan in the beginning of the film, I was like, what if they started this movie from the movie standpoint? Like, obviously we go into the screen like we do, and we follow all that stuff. But
as it is, we start with him watching Jack Slater 3. So we're in Jack Slater 3, but then we step out when it goes out of focus. We find out about Danny, then he goes back to watch Jack Slater 4.
What if instead we come to realize that the movie world is a movie world while in the movie world?
Right. What if like, this kid just showed up out of nowhere?
It's like, like all of a sudden a stowaway. It's like, oh, it's a movie about this stowaway who like ends up in Jack's car, and so he has to figure out where to put him and this that.
And it'd be great if they marketed the movie as Jack Slater 4, but no one ever saw 1 through 3.
Good call.
That would have been awesome.
You're absolutely right. And then out of nowhere, like, a third of the way through the film, we find out actually when it happens in the film, like moving into the third act. Like, that's when you realize,
That's when
wait,
you
this
go-
is a movie?
That's when you step through
The
a
kid
wall.
isn't crazy.
Yeah.
This is... What? That is awesome.
That
like,
may have actually been the original idea.
Oh, you're probably right, because you were telling me.
Yeah, like Zach Penn came up with this idea as a parody of action films, and I think maybe that was... I'm going to find this big article that goes and tells the whole history of Last Action Hero, because I've read it before.
Uh-huh.
I just can't remember it, but I'll post a link and everybody can read that later. But that would be so much cooler.
Absolutely.
Instead of, let's tag along with this fucking idiot kid who's skipping school to watch action movies. I don't like him from the start because he's irresponsible. He's uncaring to his mother.
Right.
But I guess it could be argued that because his father died X number of years ago, he's acting out, or he doesn't feel like he can connect with people or something like that.
Yeah.
But they don't really touch that in the movie.
No.
He's just acting like a little dumb bastard.
Yeah, it's like, right? It's like, oh man, someone just broke into our home and almost killed me. Well, I'm gonna go to the movies. I'm like, okay, kid.
Yeah, I can't say I'm on his side. As a kid, I was kind of like, yeah,
I was
sneaking
like,
out of the house. I could never do that.
right? And especially like there, and like his, and it's such a dark, horrible, like unrelenting view of New York City. Kind of
Yeah.
like, remember what was it?
Are they in Queens or the Bronx? Or...
I don't know, but like I have a hard time believing it was that hardcore. But at the same time, like I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I didn't live in New York at the time.
Yeah.
However, it is kind of funny because it sort of brought up that whole Jason Takes Manhattan, where like they make that whole place like this like punked out horrible, sewage epicenter of New York City, where Jason is chasing everybody around in like the last 10 minutes of that movie.
There've got to be like a couple blocks like that in New York.
Right, but
even
like doesn't
today.
he like get like he gets like waxed with like toxic waste at the end of that, like in the sewer, like that's just down there,
Right.
It's
If you just got radioactive material
right.
showing out in the sewage system.
But that's my point, is like in this movie in particular too, it's like, well, okay, there are certain things that have a sense of realism to them, but all in all, the illusion of the real world being a real world just kind of falls on its face in the climax, because they even start to bring in like the special lighting effects and stuff when the Ripper actually has Danny Madigan up on the roof before.
Yeah, it gets very theatrical, very cinematic with the deep red lights and the blues and all that.
Yep. So it's almost like they decide to just break their own rules, because why not?
I wonder if they just decided we're going to use the colors of 3D glasses, because people think of movies with the red and the blues.
That's a cool idea. Thought for the design, yeah.
Yeah.
But then also, it could also sing back to Schwarzenegger when he's telling Danny, he's like, hey, the world is what you make of it, Danny. In essence, they were
Danny's complaining like, this world sucks.
stinks,
That's
yeah.
why I go to the movies, because everything stinks here.
Yeah, you won't be able to find him because this world stinks.
And then that's the moral.
Maybe that was it.
On the nose. They didn't even wait till the climax to tell it to you.
Uh-huh.
They gave it to you well before the climax.
But it's so funny to think about, like, with the... I think we should probably head into the logistics that you were talking about next, because then it'll lead into my thought process.
Well,
of the ending.
The bad guy gets a hold of the magic ticket and goes around. His plan is to pull other villains out of other movies and basically make a ragtag team of, like, the Suicide Squad. Just to, I don't know, basically rule...
The cinematic bad boys! Me
Basically
and Dracula and King Kong.
Yeah.
All the zombies from Night of the Living Dead.
As if he would be able to control any of them. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's logical problem number one. He would not be able to control. It would just be chaos.
Right.
But maybe he wants that. Maybe he's just anarchist.
Yes. But we are led to believe.
But then the plan becomes, we have to kill Arnold Schwarzenegger in real life.
Right.
To get rid of Jack Slater, who has followed us out of the movie.
Correct.
So the idea is, we never see this happen. I don't know why they would think this way, but they think that if they kill the actor who portrayed the character, they can no longer come out of the movies. Like, it wouldn't erase their existence in the movie, I think, but they just wouldn't be able to come out and be a separate entity. But here's the thing: if they go to Dracula, Bela Lugosi's dead.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of Dracula movies that could go for, at the time Christopher Lee was still alive.
Right.
Or anything. I mean, I guess there's ways around it, but the way he was talking was like, you can't do that. Plus, at the very end, the magic ticket falls in front of a theater playing, what is that Ingmar Bergman movie?
The Seventh Seal.
The Seventh Seal, and Death, the Grim Reaper, played by Ian McKellen, comes out just to like say hi to Jack Slater for some reason.
Originally played by Max von Sydow, right?
No, Max von Sydow was the soldier.
Who is Death?
I don't know. I'm sure he's very well known in some circles, but not to me.
In Swedish circles.
Yes. I don't know his name. But that actor was almost certainly dead at the time.
Yeah.
But Death still came out. So basically, the whole plan of trying to kill Arnold was going nowhere. And I think maybe it was just a reason to create a lot of like funny Hollywood moments.
Right. And to create that meta world.
Yeah.
While also
where
just
they meet each other and they go, wow, you're the best celebrity lookalike I've ever seen.
Right.
Yeah, just to get
That's
that.
basically all there is to it.
We do get some funny stuff between Maria Shriver and Arnold kind of on the press circuit around this movie premiere.
Yeah.
Going like, she's telling him like, don't mention the restaurants, don't mention the gyms.
Yeah,
it's so tacky.
So tacky, don't plug them. Yes. So
and
good.
now, knowing how their marriage turned out, it's sort of funny seeing them bicker on screen. Maybe it came from real life.
Yeah.
I have no doubt, actually.
Pardon me. Now, the other side of things, like, say they do kill Arnold Schwarzenegger. Great, fine.
They still have Jack Slater
around. Say they kill Jack Slater in the real in the real world. What they're doing is they're killing Jack Slater from Jack Slater 4. So if they went back to Jack Slater 3, he would still be there.
Right.
Or say they killed Jack Slater from Jack Slater 3. Jack Slater 4, since it became produced, would still be there.
Right. And what's stopping them from just playing Jack Slater 4 again, grabbing a new Jack Slater out, explaining to him what the problem is, and they're at it again. They could have basically an infinite army of good guys and bad guys fighting it out in the real world.
Theoretically, because also, like, yeah, if you're talking not necessarily from the movie, but screenings of the movie, it's almost like multiple universes in and of themselves taking place in, like, 2-hour increments all over the world.
Yeah. You were seeing little snippets of another universe, another dimension.
And so, like, yeah, I mean, like, there are movies that have dealt with this. I think you had touched on that at one point. You were talking about The Purple Rose of Cairo.
Oh, yeah. Woody Allen movie. And when Jeff Daniels walks out of the movie in that, the other characters just go like, well, where did he go?
Yeah. Well, you come back to they're like, oh, where is he? Like, you come back to the theater later in the film and, like, people on screen are just waiting.
And the audience is going like, I want my money back. This movie sucks.
Which is fine because it only stays in that world. But they make the mistake in this film of opening up the film to other films.
Right.
And that's like kind of the main plan of our antagonist. And so the logic gets opened up to all these other philosophies. And yeah, it just, none of the logic really hangs in there.
It's a pretty half-baked plan, and I think he would admit that too. Like he had been in the real world for all of 12 hours when he goes like, let's get Dracula. Yeah.
Right?
Well, what makes you think you're gonna, like, Dracula will listen to what you have to say?
Yeah.
Now you're just gonna have a bunch of vampires running around.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question too. You bring in a super-powered villain or a vampire, would they still be a vampire or have superpowers in the real world?
Oh, that's a good question because like
vampires don't exist. Can we agree on that first? Because some people think they do.
Don't worry, you won't get much.
So if we get a fictional vampire with fictional made-up vampire powers, he's in the real world. Is he just a guy?
Yeah.
Now? Or a gal?
No pushback from me on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it makes me laugh because if Jack Slater, an action hero, loses all his powers,
he doesn't necessarily. He can still shoot and run and jump and climb.
Well, he has abilities, but they aren't heightened.
He's not, and he won't get. He does get hurt in the real world. Like when he swings Danny up at the end, he goes like, I think my shoulder's out of the socket. That would not have happened in the movies.
Right.
So they're maybe more vulnerable. He has the same trainable abilities. He knows how to do things.
Death still had the same ability.
Yeah, he did. He could like see a person's future or whatever.
And he
know
could,
when they're gonna die.
He could also kill people. Take this to that poor son of a bitch.
He was gonna die anyway. He just had to be there to do it.
Yeah.
So I guess there's our answer. It's not even a debate. If a vampire showed up, he would be a fully functioning vampire, and we would be fucked.
Yeah, this is true.
Until the sun came up.
Also true. But yeah, so I mean, obviously the film does not have. I mean, it's got its faults, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really surprised people look back on it like it's a big failure or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe to John McTiernan, it's a huge mark on his record, aside from that whole mafia thing and going to jail. Maybe it's worse than that to him. I don't know. I
hard to tell.
I bet he thinks Last Action Hero.
Now tell me more about the John McTiernan thing. I had heard some stuff about it, but like had something to do with like wiretapping. And,
yeah, I think it was like he was doing some kind of business with mob connected people, and I think it was just like helping them launder money or something.
Oh,
but maybe unknowingly. I don't know. I don't want to like start saying things and have John McTiernan find our little podcast and be like, I'm suing your ass into oblivion.
It's like, no, don't, John. We love you.
You have Die Hard money. I don't have Die Hard money.
Oh boy. But what can you do?
But
like talking about we
can mention Colleen Camp right now, who is the assigned partner of the animated cartoon Cat, voiced by Danny DeVito.
What was his name? Whiskers?
Yeah.
Whiskers.
Whiskers.
But I mean, yeah, it is. It's such an interesting film because I do appreciate it so much more now than I did when it came out, and I think a lot of it had to do with number one, my age, number two, what I was looking for and expecting back then, and the fact that you were going to a Schwarzenegger movie and it was kind of watered down and kind of poking more fun at itself than it was taking itself seriously. Mm-hmm. I was like, no.
You felt like it was sort of making fun of you because you liked that kind of movie.
Maybe.
Possibly.
But like, especially after even having like Schwarzenegger with Edward Furlong in Terminator 2, it's like, yeah, Edward Furlong was in this like hardcore movie. Like he was an adolescent, a little bit awkward, but at the same time, he had his own cool going on in there, and like he was intense. He could cuss. He could, like there was stuff going on, and then this just felt like
it felt like they were trying to recreate the magic. Arnold with a young kid on an adventure,
maybe
sort of a thing.
I guess, but for some reason, it was not what we were looking for when it came out.
But now, because we have grown into movie fans, we know exactly what this movie is making fun of.
Absolutely.
And it has taken its place in, what would you call that, the pantheon of cinema history? Like, anytime somebody makes the 2 days until retirement joke, it's from this fucking movie.
Well, that's that, but like it also comes as an adage from like
I know that they actually say that in Lethal Weapon. Yeah. 2 weeks from
and of
retirement.
course, as a kid, I never realized like the flavor. Because it was PG-13. I don't think I ever connected the flavor of Shane Black in this film to that. Like I thought, they're just making fun of it.
Well, I think it's better because it came from Shane Black, who wrote those movies this is making fun of. Like, he knows all the tropes.
Precisely.
He took advantage of them making the real thing. So it's probably easy for him. Maybe it's very hard. I don't know.
I'd like to know how many people actually worked on this screenplay other than Shane and David.
I have a feeling it's a lot.
Yeah.
Just from what I remember reading, I think it went through a lot of hands and a lot of drafts, and it just was one of those things, like it was in development hell for a little while because nobody could decide on which one was the right way to write it. Still gonna find that article. I'm gonna post that, and I'm gonna read it again so I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Send it to me because I want to check it out.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's fun to see a lot of other people in this movie that as a kid I kind of recognized but never really saw them for anything else other than their characters, Particularly like Tom Noonan. Like I had gotten into. It's really interesting because Tom Noonan and Robert Prosky, were both in this film, and Tom Noonan played a bad guy in this one, and I got to know him after the fact in the movie Michael Mann's Manhunter, and then Robert Prosky was one of the big baddies in Thief, another Michael Mann film.
Mm-hmm. And I have no doubt again that Manhunter, his role in Manhunter is why he got this role.
Oh yeah,
because he had that vibe of the creepy serial killer.
Same vibe, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking up the credits for Frank McRae,
who
plays the chief, who is constantly yelling in gibberish.
Right? Yeah.
Totally. He was in Loaded Weapon 1, another parody of Lethal Weapon type movies. Mm-hmm. God, I know Batteries Not Included. I remember him.
Oh, wow.
He was
That's
Red Dawn.
Right. He was Harry. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Batteries Not Included. That is a movie that shouldn't have worked on any level. But man, was it good.
Now, maybe that's one I need to rewatch for the podcast.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen that.
It's like, imagine this. It's like, okay, I got a movie idea, guys. It's a dilapidated apartment building. We're going to follow old people.
Oh, great.
No, it's okay, because there's robots from space. They're little micro spaceships. And they're going to save
micro?
Like, they're tiny.
They're
tiny?
like,
they sit in the palm of your hand.
I don't get it.
Exactly. Like, oh wait, no, yeah, we're definitely making this movie.
Pretty much because it came from Spielberg.
Yeah,
that's how it got done.
Precisely. Other than that, concept wise, like, it just goes to show you, man, you better be someone if you're gonna come up with a concept like that.
You can make a movie about anything.
A movie like that would, and I remember really liking it.
I remember liking it too, but I only saw it one time when I was fairly young.
Oh, dude, they used to play it ad nauseum on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
probably
and I saw
it. Yeah. There's one final note I want to make about Danny.
Okay.
And I forgot what it was. Oh my God!
Have to do with like his bad choices,
something like that. Oh yeah, it does. It does. His choice of movies, frankly. But before that, there was another thing I just read on my little list. He drop kicks everything.
Right? He's like...
Anytime when he attacks the bad guy, he just like runs in from off screen and like goes in feet first. He just drop kicks a dude.
Just a whole body situation.
Yeah, and then he's got to knock over the whole box of movie tickets, to find the magic one. And he drop kicks that one too. He just runs in and pow.
Or like,
why wouldn't you just turn it over? Why do you have to jump into
it? Call Nick, throw down the keys. Like, what?
That's his superpower. He can fucking drop kick things.
Drop kick everything. And then like when he like literally like pulls the chair that Charles Dance is in and like flips Charles Dance over him, like he goes into a backward somersault.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu
it's
type
like
move.
What? Like, this clumsy kid out of nowhere can do these moves. All right.
He doesn't have the leverage. He's too tiny.
Right?
He's only 90 pounds or whatever.
But how about Mercedes Ruehl, though, as his mom? Like I said, like the genetics don't quite sync up here, but...
Yeah, last name Madigan. She doesn't look like a Madigan, but
I miss her, dude. Like, what is going on with her these days? Because she is such a phenomenal actress.
Let's see.
And she was in The Fisher King.
She's turning 70 next year.
Wow. Well, she's fabulous.
She's been on NCIS and Power and a lot of TV work. Which is totally fine because I work in TV. And as long as people are acting in TV, somebody has to cut their performance.
Well, the next time you find her in your dailies, you let me know.
Okay.
Because I want to...
I've always thought she was really good.
She's fabulous. Absolutely.
The thing I wanted to mention about Danny, though, really, is he's skipping school. Yeah. For what are, I guess, maybe not objectively, but what could be. He's skipping school to see Jack Slater 4.
Right.
Or staying up late.
Staying up late. He skipped school to see the third one for like the umpteenth time.
So let's update this for modern times. Let's say somebody is acting like a little shit at home and school because they want to see Transformers 6. This is not a good person.
This is not.
Like, he
Not to mention, like...
We can appreciate a good action movie.
Right.
He doesn't seem to have any standards. He's seeing anything that comes out in the Jack Slater series.
Right. Well, he's just a diehard fan.
Yeah, and he is like a fan of movies in general because he knows about Amadeus when he's 14, 13 years old.
Yeah. I
didn't know about Amadeus until I was like 21.
Oh, really?
I never watched it until then. So he knows about movies, but the only ones he seems to give a damn about are what could be the worst ones being made in that day and age. So
that's one thing to think about.
It's like a big budget.
Or the fact that
would he be a douchebag basically? If this was today and he was a real person and we weren't worried about his story in a movie, would he be basically a douchebag who's lining up for Transformers 6? I don't want to go that far and say like anybody who likes Transformers
like
sequels
fast forward,
are bad
like
people.
Right.
But
fast forward, like, I mean, the fact of the matter is, in this movie, he's about to like skip out again, like sneak out to go see this movie, but then his plan is thwarted by someone who's coming in to burglarize their apartment.
And he still goes out to the movie.
And he still goes to the movie afterwards. Like, he goes and the cops are like, sorry, kid, by the way.
I'd call my mom and be crying on the phone and
right,
stuff.
Why, here's the other thing. Why didn't the cops call his mother? Right?
I think they did. I think they said something like, your mother will be home after blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so just go on home. And by the way, I know that there was a home invasion, but... yeah, nothing we can do. So just go home. We're not going to escort you or anything, but you'll be good.
Laughably poor police work.
Exactly. But then,
that kid's going to die.
Exactly. And instead of going home, instead of calling his mom, like, or any, like, he just goes to the movie.
I mean, he thinks about it, but then he goes to the movie.
Right. Because movie logic.
That's the only thing he cares about because Dad's dead.
Yeah, fast forward 20-some years... Danny Madigan is now seeing, he'd be the guy who
or
would
even
probably...
the equivalent same-age kid today, if they were doing the same thing to modern films. Like, I would not like that person at all.
No.
So yeah.
Either that or I'd be like, okay, we need to go talk to someone because you clearly have issues. Like, we need to work on the things that are priorities.
Yeah.
So, but... Hey, it works for a movie.
It does.
And this movie was much more fun than when I originally saw it. So
it's always good when the investment pays off.
Right.
Like a fine wine. You've let it sit there for a long time. You put it in again, and just like the wine, you put it in.
Yeah. I mean, I remember there are tons of movies in the day that were totally loved when they came out, and then you watch them again and you're like, that wasn't really all that good, was it?
Yeah.
And I'm used to seeing movies that are great, that stand the test of time, and be like, yeah, this movie holds up. This might be the first mediocre film when it came out that I've come back to watch and be like, wow, that really holds up, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I don't think it's just nostalgia.
No.
I don't think we're just hanging on to it. I think the story could use some improvement.
Absolutely.
I think whatever the behind-the-scenes story is that led to so many writers and so much time being spent on it sort of overcomplicated the plot.
Yeah.
And the whole thing we came up with totally on our own and not because it was the original idea at all. Came up with it on our own. If it took place all inside the movie and then this kid shows up claiming he's from the quote real world and then they find out, oh shit, our whole world is a fiction, that would be amazing. That would be a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Any parting thoughts?
No, just that I...
What do you think happens to Jack Slater when they stop rolling the film?
That was it! Yes! Yes, thank you.
You do have some parting thoughts.
Well, I do have some parting thoughts because the fact of the matter remains that, as the movie is ending, Jack's back in the cinema world, and he knows that Danny's watching him, and he's saying, this is fake, and you're the comic relief, and ha ha ha, and I don't want to shoot people all the time. And I'm like, and so here is where Danny Madigan destroyed the action genre for everyone. The idea that Jack Slater now goes back into his movie and decides, you know what?
He wants to talk it out from now on.
I want to talk it out from now on. And I kind of feel like going to some farmers markets nowadays and maybe taking up some knitting instead of shooting people all the time.
Yeah. So And remember, that movie that he stepped back into, there wasn't even film in the projector. Nick was still fumbling with the reels.
Oh, that's right.
It was magic movie.
Yep.
So maybe what happened when the magic took over and started playing Jack Slater 4 when there wasn't any film in the projector, it created a whole nother dimension.
A genre-killing virus that reaches out to every film everywhere.
I don't think it was... I wasn't going for that. I was thinking maybe it created a whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
It created a whole new world that the Jack Slater that was real for a few days could exist in, parallel to our own. Like, they would never cross over again. He wouldn't be the movie Jack Slater. He would be a real person.
Right.
With all of this, fiction around him, maybe. But he could live his own life.
Ooh.
And then, I don't know. Or here's another thing. When they turn the magic projector off, or it shuts itself off one day, because they're going to demolish the whole theater for some reason.
Right.
Because nobody buys tickets. Maybe, holy shit, his entire world collapses around him and he dies a horrible, painful, drawn-out death.
Well, that's a way of looking at things.
We could make a sequel to Last Action Hero.
A very
where that
dark
happens,
sequel.
Where the magic finally runs out of the projector and then everything starts collapsing around Jack Slater.
Last Action Hero 2. Really? The Last Action Hero. Wow. And why? That's a good question. Why call it? That's it. That's why they call it The Last Action Hero, because he's like, I don't want to shoot people anymore. That's it. Because otherwise, that title makes no fucking sense.
Right. I guess they were going for a feeling of like, in a world where I don't know, there aren't any true action heroes. Like the cops aren't your action hero. The last action hero we could rely on is the one on the movies.
The one that takes us away from our everyday life, literally.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's like a last resort action hero. When you can't stand life anymore, just pop in Jack Slater 4. It rhymes. Huh.
There you go. Should have been on the ad campaign back in the day.
Damn, man. Found my calling.
Well, in any case, I think that's quite the shoehorn there.
All right. Thanks for being with me, Steve.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
And this episode was edited by Chad on a plane, probably. And our theme music was composed by nobody because we ain't fucking got a theme song.
I'm tired of these motherfucking Chads on these motherfucking planes. Miss you, Chad. Hope to see you soon, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, not me. No, I'm just agreeing. Like, yes, I hope Steve gets to see you soon.
But no, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me over.
Yeah, always good.
Cool. Later, people. Things. Stuff.